Everybody can draw. It's like cooking. When somebody says, no, no, I can't cook, you know they actually can. They just need the ingredients, a recipe, and the ability to follow the recipe. That's it. With drawing, it's the same thing. Just follow a tutorial or look at references and copy them, and you're gonna get the idea. It's gonna take practice still, of course, but anybody can draw basic things and basic doodles that look like things. That being said, I started art exactly 3 months ago, and I'm gonna give you my rundown from June to September. Warning, this video does include some spoilers for my upcoming animated film and podcast episode scenes, so just know that. If you've ever used Adobe Fresco, you know that it comes with the default documents, the quick tour, the colors, and the brushes. Let me know the drawing app that you use and if it also comes with these canvases that are already there. Point is, that right there, that date, June 19, 2025, is when I downloaded this beloved app. It's like my receipt because that's the only way I can prove it. That's the only proof that I started digital art on that day. Every other digital art video you see is gonna have a ton of pictures of people's old 2015 art, but a girl has zero pictures of the hand drawn art she used to do in the past. Because it's not like before this, I never touched markers, glitter, glue, crayons. But I can tell you this, I never ever drew in pencil and I never sketched. That was so different doing things this time around. At that time, when I was little, like 10, 11 years old, I only ever drew something once in pen and colored it. That's it. Either way, the whole little drawing thing ended for me in middle school. It doesn't count towards this because that was so long ago. It just does not count anymore. So I started drawing again in June of this year when I downloaded Adobe Fresco for my podcast series. No experience, very little skill, just a pen and a Microsoft Surface Pro. The only software I've been using has been Adobe Fresco. Only one con though. The way I learned Fresco, because keep in mind that I'm doing art for the sake of bringing my project to life, was through the in app tutorials, playing around with the pen tools, the brushes, and just about every button you see here. Chris Piasik's YouTube channel, other YouTube tutorials depending on what I had trouble with. You know, a lot of learning as I went and looking up problems as I went. But here's where the big problem started: drawing faces. I did the little tutorials, I was getting used to the platform, but when it was time to draw myself, oh my god, I struggled. And at the time, there was no symmetry tool that did not even exist, so I really had to struggle to make things symmetrical, which, if you're a beginner, you know how difficult that is. I struggled so hard, no matter how many Pinterest references I used, I was not liking how I was turning out in cartoon. I had to switch up the type of brushes, the brush sizes, and I wasn't used to sketching before my drawing, so I also had to practice doing that. Nothing was working. Even when I tried to copy Pinterest references to a T, it still looked completely different than the photo. The thing with character design and people art style is that I needed to figure out how I would want each facial feature to look. And the thing that impacted the style of the face most was going to be the face shape. I tried so many different combinations of hairstyles, face shapes, facial features, and I still did not like it. So, what am I going to do? Waste my time on something that I'm stuck on? No. I'm going to put this on the back burner while I make hand drawn B roll footage. So now I'm really getting deeper into my podcast art. I've made several cityscape type of photos with the help of city and New York City references on Pinterest. I started to incorporate the motion feature that Fresco has to give some animations to the clouds and the lights through path animation and frame by frame animation. That's how I made them. And now, back to Simmee. I don't know if it was the practice I got with using a stylus more often, or the practice I got with using the app more often, or it could possibly be the practice I got with just drawing more often, but I finally made a Simmee that I liked. But then, when I looked at her later and thought about my face, her face, on my narrated, on my, ay Dios. On my narrated episodes, there was something I knew I had to change. As happy as I was to be satisfied with the look of the character, I did not want her to look like a child. I knew it was gonna be time to make more designs separating each of her facial features and tweaking everything until I finally got the more grown looking 19-year-old Simmee that I needed. And then again, I put that on the back burner and got started on drawing scenes. that were going to be reoccurring during my podcast, at least in season 1. So I got a better start to my character. I knew that I had to fix her. I knew that was going to take more time, so let me do some reoccurring scenes, which are going to be certain backgrounds and certain scenes that you're going to see pretty often. Certain things of me sitting, me talking, the type of scenes that are going to be appearing over and over because they're staples, they're basic backgrounds. And some of those reoccurring scenes have Simmee in them, so eventually I got stuck with the parts of drawings that needed the character to be incorporated in them. And that's when I made this. Finally, she was made. In between drawing her, adding her to the scenes that needed to have her, going back to my character folder, making a bunch of turnarounds until I got the right one, sketching her body multiple angles, making a mini version of her. I made a lot of process with drawing all the reoccurring scenes, and those reoccurring scenes were important because they were going to be incorporated into the podcast trailer. Now, this is what I'm currently working on. I actually had to take a couple of days last week off because I had to do this video. So I had to screen record all the clips that you're seeing right now, most of them, because look at where my Adobe storage is at. I basically cannot even fit another document on here without it struggling to back up. So I'm going to back those up, save those locally, and just have them locally on this computer so that whenever I need them again to reference, I can open them back up without them taking up storage. Anyways, because I've had all the tools to draw and animate for a long time, I would have started this podcast animation journey so much sooner if I would have known about the tiny struggles I was going to run into, which at this age, you know that not everything is going to be super smooth, but still, I was avoiding it. If not, at the very least, I would have practiced drawing faces and drawing bodies at different angles and poses. That really would have helped me for when I started to draw these episodes out. I honestly wish I did it sooner. I will make another art video either in October or November regarding animation. Let me actually read the description. It's gonna be tips to make animated videos, animated kind of film and story times, not like a regular story time YouTuber, but something kind of like this podcast where it's a storyline type of podcast and you want to animate your childhood experiences, not for humor like these typical animated channels, but different in a more serious long-term type of style like a chapter book, and it's going to be help with beginners and also help to make things not be super simple and look like typical doodles, but be able to draw things in a way that's fast and easy, and how to make things, how to be able to tell a story with your drawings even if you're a beginner at drawing. The top concern is having your drawings look good but also saving time, and that is the main thing I'm going to touch. From now on, I'm going to continue drawing and animating my episodes, posting on socials other than YouTube, and a lot of those actually cross post onto YouTube Shorts too. And making sure that I'm also making other talking videos about parent child relationships, especially when they have to do with adolescents. That was my 90-day walkthrough, and I can't wait to see everything else that I get to do.